Hey fans, welcome back. This is the first video looking at standard form. We're going to look at why it's important, the different uses of standard form, and then a few basic conversions. The rest of the playlist, which you'll find on the channel, goes through all the different types of calculations that you can do with standard form and how we can use it to work out answers to questions. Okay, so before we start this, there are a set of pre-skills that you need. You need to be able to multiply and divide by powers of 10. So pause the video and have a go with all of these questions, and then when you're ready I'm going to show you the answers. You want to aim to get 100% with these questions. Okay, here come the answers in 3, 2, 1. Okay, these are the answers. Please mark your work, and if you got any of these wrong, you need to go away and revise the topic of multiplying and dividing by powers of 10 and then come back to this video. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful at this topic. Okay, now let's look at some examples of why this topic is important. I'm going to show you, I think I'm going to show you 3 different tasks. So here's the first task. I'm going to show you a bunch of text which is related to space and distances and things like that between planets, and I want you to just briefly read it as quickly as you can. You're not going to be timed, so you can just pause it when it appears on the screen, and then we're going to discuss what you've read. So here's the paragraph, 3 paragraphs. Pause the video, have a go to read this. Okay, 3, 2, 1. So hopefully you've had time to read this. What you may have found in this first task is some of these numbers are quite hard to read. So this number here, you can see this one's a really small number, and you kind of have to pause and try to read these out in your head. So just as a bonus challenge, the numbers are written out here, the ones that appear on the piece of text you read. Try to read them out as words, see if you can get them right. I'm going to show you the answers in 3, 2, 1. So those are the answers. Did you get those right? Did you not get those right? I hope you did. Right, this is task 1 that you've just done. Let's look at task 2. Task 2, you're not expected to know the answers to this, but can you estimate how fast light travels? How many meters the sun is from the earth, or the mass of a proton? Okay, pause the video and have a go. Write something down and then compare it to these answers. Here come the answers. Were you close? Were you far? This is more of an estimation exercise here. You may not have got anywhere close to these, but something like this number here, the mass of a proton, which is a tiny number, we need a way to write this in a more succinct and a shorter way. So that's what standard form is going to be on. Now here's the third task I want you to look at. So you have to decide which number is bigger. There's going to be 2 numbers that appear, one on this side, one on this side. You're going to only have 3 seconds to decide which one is bigger. Okay, so here comes the number. 3, 2, 1. Okay, you have 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, that was quite tough, wasn't it? Well, I'm going to give you a second go, but this time I'm going to write something underneath. Okay, you still have to decide which one's bigger, and you still have 3 seconds. So here they appear again with a clue. Okay, which one is bigger? 3, 2, 1. Okay, so hopefully the second time it was a bit clearer which one is bigger. So I'm going to show you this again now, and you may have figured out that because of that 14, the number on the left of the screen, this one here, is bigger. It's 10 times bigger than the one on the right. Okay, so writing these numbers in 2 ways. Well, what's the disadvantage and the advantage of each method? Well, you can see that the advantage is you get to see the whole number. The disadvantage is it's easy to make mistakes writing these out. It's sometimes hard to compare these numbers, and that's why we use this representation. This representation is called standard form. It allows us to write really small or really big numbers concisely, and it allows us to compare numbers easily as well. So see which one's bigger, which one's smaller. So here is a summary of what standard form should look like. So number is in standard form if that first number is anywhere between 1 and 10, not including 10 itself, and it's multiplied by 10 to the power of some integer. So an integer is a number, is just a whole number. So an integer could be positive, it can be negative, but it has to be a whole number. So no decimals, no fractions. No sir. Okay, so this is a nicer way, more mathematical way of showing that something has to be between 1 and 10, not including 10. We're using inequalities here, and we call this scientific notation or standard form. So you need to copy this into your books if you don't already have it, and then you're going to decide whether this rule has been followed on the next slide. So pause this if you need to copy this out. Here comes the next slide. All right, so the rule for your benefit is being written on the right hand side, on the top right here, so you can use that as a reference. And what you need to decide is, does this follow standard form or not? So let's look at the rules here. We know that this number has to be between 1 and 10. Is it between 1 and 10? No. So you automatically know it's not in standard form. The second part does, however, it follows the rule of standard form, but both parts need to be in standard form. So overall, no, that doesn't work. How about this number here? Is this in standard form? Okay, so hopefully you've spotted, yes, this is between 1 and 10, and yes, that's an integer, and yes, we're multiplying by 10. So this is standard form. How about this one? So hopefully you spotted 4.2 is between 1 and 10, but that's not a 10 there. So that's the bit that fails. So this is not in standard form due to that. Let's decide if this is in standard form. Okay, so hopefully you've spotted that this is not between 1 and 10, it's actually less than 1, so that doesn't work. The rest of it technically does, but overall it's not in standard form. Okay, 2.3 times 10 to the negative 8, is this in standard form or not? Okay, so we can see, is this between 1 and 10? Yes. Are we multiplying by 10 to the power something? Yes. Is that an integer? Well, an integer is a whole number, can be positive or negative, or can even be 0. So yes, this is in standard form. Okay, next one, 0.99 times 10 to the power 6. Is this between 1 and 10? Nope. The rest of it is correct, but overall, no, not in standard form. Decide if this is true for the next one. So you may have spotted that this is not between 1 and 10. The rest of it technically correct, but overall doesn't work. So have a go with the last 3 questions, and then I'll go through those with you. Okay, so if you need more time, pause the video, but we can see that this is between 1 and 10. That's an integer, that's a 10, so yes, this is correct. The second last question doesn't work because it's not between 1 and 10. The rest of it technically works, but overall it doesn't. And then here, in between 1 and 10, yes, times 10 to the power. However, this is not an integer, so it doesn't work. Okay, so I'll just clear this out. So you can use this as a reference, and you can go over this if you're not sure about any of this. Now, let's look at doing some conversions. That will be on the next video. I'll see you in that one. Smash the like button.
Stop humming that song!